She turned to social media, specifically TikTok, to talk about her struggles, to open up about her family, what they were facing with, struggling with, and then she murdered her entire family. Guys, I hate it probably just as much as you do, if not more, when I have to give my usual warning, but in this case, I do. There are children involved, so if you think that listening to this is going to harm your mental health in any way, please skip this video, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in my next one. I love you. Today's case took place in Madbury, New Hampshire. There in a 4-bedroom house lived 34-year-old Emily Long, her husband, 48-year-old Ryan Long, their 8-year-old Parker, 6-year-old Ryan, and the baby of the family, their 3-year-old son. Ryan, the husband, was a school psychiatrist for the Oyster River Cooperative School District and also worked part-time in Plymouth State University. Emily worked in the restaurant business. She had been working there as a director of operations since 2018 up until last summer. So at the time of this case, she was not employed. And up until April of 2025, the Long family was living the kind of life that everyone hopes for. They were looked at as a happy family of 5 who had this beautiful life they created together, living in a beautiful home, and by all accounts, they were very happy. But all of that changed when Ryan, the husband, was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer earlier this year, and of course that took such a massive toll on the entire family. It turned their entire world upside down. The normal they were used to was no longer, and they now had to learn how to live with this grief that no family should ever have to face. The diagnosis rocked their world, and Emily turned to social media to talk about her husband, her family, their story, grief, and every hardship and struggle that they were trying to navigate through. She started posting videos on TikTok, and she would talk about the treatments that Ryan was going through, how hard it was not only for him but also for her and their kids, watching his health slowly decline. In a video captioned, "Watch me brag about my husband for 7 minutes," she went into detail about their love story, their relationship, about how Ryan was the best husband that she could ever ask for. He was her rock. She talked about everything that he taught her on how to be the best partner, and of course also touched on the diagnosis and talked about how different life looked for them now. But she mentioned that Ryan was very good at keeping his spirits high even in the darkest of times. She also often talked about how they were doing the best that they could to try and prepare the kids for the loss of their father. And over time, she started receiving a lot of love and support. Her audience kept growing, and she would open up about her personal mental health struggles, about depression, often talking about how she felt sorry for herself. And she built such a community that was really, truly so loving and caring towards their entire family. On TikTok, she posted around 80 videos, and referring to herself, she wrote, "New Hampshire mom of 3, brain cancer wife, my digital diary, it's cheaper than therapy." The last video she posted was titled "Making a Change," and in one of her latest posts, she wrote, "Okay, I'm making strides to get better. All I want to do is hide under a blanket with my kids, but that isn't healthy for them and it's not healthy for me. Today, I decided to make a conscious effort to shift my mindset. I'm getting out of this depression, whether I want to or not." That brings us to Monday, August 18th of 2025. That day, authorities showed up to the Long family household after receiving a welfare check request. When they entered the home, they found the bodies of Ryan Long, Emily Long, 8-year-old Parker, and 6-year-old Ryan deceased. All 4 of them had clear weapon wounds, and Ryan's death, as well as the children's, were immediately ruled a homicide. Ryan had multiple gunshot wounds, and both of the kids had a single wound to the head. The 3-year-old baby was found alone in the house, unharmed. All 4 of them were pronounced deceased at the scene just after 8 p.m. Authorities believe that in the early hours of the morning, Emily Long grabbed a weapon from the house, used it on the husband, their 2 kids, and unalived herself shortly after. An absolute tragedy. My heart goes out to the little 3-year-old baby that's the only one surviving out of their entire family and is now being cared for by other family members. But even just imagining the beginning of the trauma that this poor little boy is going to have to deal with for the rest of his life is so sad. Now, of course, the question everyone has, what was the motive? And mental health comes into play here massively. Because of the struggles the family was facing, because of the kind of videos that Emily was making, flat out stating that she felt herself withering away. But it's also interesting because you could argue that she was pleading for help, but in the same breath, you could say that she wasn't, because even in some of her videos, she talked about therapy, how she didn't want it, how she felt she wasn't ready for it. Even saying that one of her close friends was a therapist and was offering her help, but she didn't want it. And I know cancer is the worst thing in the world. It tears so many families apart, but that does not excuse what she did, not at all. And I think that's something we can all agree on. She took 3 innocent lives of the people who loved her most in this world, in the place where they were supposed to feel the safest, in their own home. There's also the topic of conversation of Emily's employer. Remember I said she wasn't working at the time? Well, her employer on August 11th went to authorities to report suspicions that Emily had been stealing money from the business. The owner stated, quote, "I felt felt I had no other option than to go to law enforcement. We noticed there were a lot of handwritten checks being deposited into her bank account," end quote. In June of 2025, he started noticing that a lot of money was being missing, and he noticed the numerous checks paid out to Emily herself. He confronted her and he stated that she didn't really have an explanation, and then he asked her for 3 months worth of bank statements, and she did provide the bank statements in early August, but the records she provided showed that they were either tampered with or they just had pages of information that was just missing. Emily's boss had valid reasons to suspect that Emily had stolen $660,000 from the business throughout the last 2 to 3 years. And of course, we don't know. There's no way of knowing if that did or did not play a part in her motive, but her boss has stated since then that 1, he has no idea where the money went or what she used it on, but that 2, he has no plan to take legal action to recover the stolen money. Instead, he wants it to go to Emily's 3-year-old surviving son. He has said, quote, "Anything that's left of it should go to that child. He deserves all of it. It's not fair to him. He didn't make this happen and he didn't deserve this," end quote. A tragedy such as this one will never ever make sense, and it's so heartbreaking to watch it from afar. All of my love goes out to everyone that has been left in this difficult position to grieve and try to make sense of what this new normal looks like for them. A GoFundMe page has been started to support the youngest family, the only surviving family of the Long family, and I will leave the link to it in the comment section. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you guys for spending time with me today. I hope you're having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.